few years ago, my husband and I decided to go on a road trip, and when I was confined to a smaller space, my artwork started shrinking to fit life on the road. When I came back to my studio, my dollhouse was waiting for me. So I started renovating, and as soon as I started painting the walls, I wanted to put art on the walls, and that's how I decided to turn it into a miniature gallery. I started creating webcomics, taking pictures of the dollhouse and having my characters interact with each other. Since I'm creating the illusion of an entire art world in miniature form, I like being able to try out different styles when I'm parodying other artists or creating fictional artists. So it frees me up to try things that I normally might not with my own art. Whenever something interesting or fun happens in the art world, I like to parody it by creating my own version. When the Salvator Mundi by Leonardo da Vinci sold at the Christie's auction for $450 million, I created the miniature version of that painting. So it became the world's most expensive miniature painting. I wanted to create the Mona Lisa because I didn't think the gallery would be complete without the most famous painting in the world as well. To create the Mona Lisa, the first step was to find a really good picture of her. So once I had the picture, I scaled it down to 1/12 scale and printed it out. Since I'm trying to create an exact replica of the Mona Lisa, I decided to trace the original rather than redrawing it myself. The next step is to transfer the Mona Lisa onto my painting surface, which is watercolor paper. And the way I do that is I put a piece of graphite transfer paper between my printout and my painting surface, and I carefully trace it with a mechanical pencil, going over the important shapes like her hair, her silhouette, her eyes, nose, mouth, and the Mona Lisa smile. The transfer is like a guideline for the painting process. After I have my transfer ready, I will do an underpainting using a burnt sienna acrylic paint. And the reason I do this is because the Mona Lisa has a lot of earthy colors, so I want to tone all of my colors and figure out the darks and lights of the piece. Once my underpainting is done, I'll start adding some color. I'm going to start with the darks first, adding some black to my brown, and I'm going to start with her hair and her clothing because those are the darkest areas. Next, I will mix my background colors together, and I'll start painting the sky gradations first. Then I'll add some green and earth tones to the mountains and water in the background. Once I have my background painted, I'm going to start painting Mona Lisa's face and hands. To create Mona Lisa's skin tone, I'm going to start with a cream base and add some reds, some blues, some green, and some yellow. I'm going to switch to my liner brush and carefully add in the details. And once I've painted in the veil, she's finished. The next step is to create a frame using a raw miniature frame molding. I'm going to use a miter and saw to cut the pieces of wood. To attach the frames together, I'm going to use a heavy acrylic gel medium as my glue. I'm going to join together a top and a side, and then I'm going to press it up against my miter to create a 90-degree angle. Once the two pieces are dry, I will attach the two corners together. I'm going to paint it green. Once the green layer is dry, I will add a gold enamel paint as the final layer. I'm going to flip it over and pop in the Mona Lisa. It's finished and I can put it in the dollhouse. It's exciting to own my own version of the most famous painting in the world. While recreating and master copying other artists' work, I get to put myself in their shoes and see from a different perspective. I feel like I've grown as an artist by working on this gallery because it's freed me up to experiment more than I normally would.